Test, test, test. Check, check, check.
How are we going to do? Is this one going to work? Is everything going to be fine? I think we're good.
Is she checking?
Yeah, I mean, we're live, but regardless, but yeah.
So she should just see the screen and hear us talking.
Anybody who's in here right now.
If you're here,
you're
family.
We're family.
Wait, do we have confirmation that our voices are coming through?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
It's looking like it, according to the...
I think we're probably fine. Let's crank this baby. You cranking?
We're going.
She says she can hear us. All right, cool. So yeah, let's
Hey, welcome to our live stream, everybody.
Oh, hi.
Hey, guys.
Hi, we're here. Yeah, sorry, it's throwing me off because there's the delay, and I'm watching the YouTube channel like an idiot, and there's a delay. There's like a 30-second delay, so whatever. Anyway, hi, welcome. Oh wait,
You got the theme song?
who has our theme song queued up? Was that supposed to be me?
It probably was supposed to be one of us.
Oops. Well, how's everybody doing?
Everybody's doing great. That's Astrologer, folks.
Okay.
The full theme and everything. Welcome to Click Vortex, everybody. The internet is a confusing place, and Sam and I are equally confused.
Yes, we are.
We're doing it not quite bi-coastal, but kinda close to bi-coastal.
I'm in New York. I'm live from New York. It's Thursday, late afternoon.
Yep, pre-afternoon. Well, no, just after afternoon here. I don't know where I'm at.
It's around lunchtime there, right? What is it?
You're looking at, it's 12:45 here in the Sonoran Desert, Phoenix, Arizona, which was rocked by a storm yesterday, rocked by extreme winds. That's an update. That's a weather update for all of those folks
That's
who
not
are.
good.
Yeah.
Anita says I'm quiet, so I don't know. Maybe I have to do something else here to fix that.
Possible to. You got some.
How's that, Anita? I seem so loud. There's no way that I'm quiet.
Now you sound. It does sound better to my ears.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, check this out. Check out this cool shirt I'm wearing.
That's
little sweatshirt that I'm wearing.
is that a crappy brooches?
Crappy brooch ridge.
That's a crappy brooch or ridge. What's crappy brooch? I mean, I clearly know what it is because I just mentioned it.
My friend wife and my sister friend have been in Spokane making these, things out of felt, and then so Miranda made this one, and she put it on a nice little comfort color sweatshirt for me. But then they're also putting pins on them and making them into brooches that you can buy, and all the money's going to animal shelters.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
I didn't know that your sister friend Miranda liked dogs. That's new information to me.
Yeah. She doesn't really put that out there. She likes to keep her personal life private when it comes to her dog hoarding, because she's gonna get arrested.
So I now know.
Alert the authorities.
I now know two things for sure that she loves: dogs and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Right?
That's a fact.
Those are just the facts. Right before we got going this morning, or this afternoon, or there's the train. I don't know if you can hear that.
I can hear that. Apparently people still can't hear me. That doesn't seem even remotely possible. I am so unbelievably loud in my headphones that it's one of those things where I'm hearing my own voice and I'm not thrilled. Let's see, can I do something here? Is this better? Is this better for anybody? Can you hear me? Are you listening? Oh.
Is that yes?
I don't know. We should have worked out these technical issues in advance. Oh wait, we did.
I thought we did. I thought we were all
We
good.
did, and everything sounded cool. Maybe it's that Spokane internet dropping me off the things. She says I'm muffled. That's just normal. If I sound muffled, it might be because that's my new thing. I just like sounding muffled. Cooler.
What were we talking about? How Miranda loves the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh yeah, Flea has announced a new podcast.
Oh really?
Yeah.
About what, jazz?
I don't know what it's about, and I already forgot what the title is. It's something like "Look on the Bright Side" or something like that. Special time. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Okay.
But regardless, it exists or it will exist. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I should have had the "By the Way" MIDI sample queued up, but we blew it.
We did blow it. It's right now just trying to figure out why people can't hear me, despite the fact that my audio levels are in red, and I can barely hear you, Jason. But for some reason, I can just hear myself incredibly loud. So I don't know. Whatever. I mean, am I allowed to say whatever, or do we actually have to fix this live? In the spot.
We might. I mean, I can. The only thing I can.
Buzz, I guess. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah. But we are doing this live, and we appreciate everybody. I don't see the comments right now, so if there are any cool comments, direct them.
You have the monitor?
Well, I do have the monitor, but it's yeah. Long story. Long story short. But hey, that's all right.
Let's call this whole thing off.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in to our second ever live one. Well, no.
Gave
Okay.
it a shot.
We did our best. I am excited to do these live. They're more fun to do live. So
They're more fun live. I really don't understand why people can't hear me. You can hear me, can't you?
I can.
Okay, maybe I just need to eat this microphone. Maybe that helps. I don't know. Does that help? People out there? People of Earth?
I'm trying to see if I can turn the
wives. Anybody? Buzzing is better. I'm buzzing loudly. Buzzing is okay, whatever. I like buzzing. Buzzing's cool. Who cares? The reason I'm buzzing is because I'm so loud, and for some reason, it's just not coming through. But whatever. Let's move forward. Who's first?
I'm first this time.
Episode 24, everybody. Last time I think we thought it was episode 24. Now it actually is episode 24.
You could say we were just.
Episodes.
You could just say that we were precognitively aware that it would be the 24th episode soon, and we were just jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah, we were in a bit of a rush.
We were in a rush. We were in a.
We were in a bit of a rush works, I think.
It's gonna have to, because that's what we've come up with. Well, okay, so if I'm going first, then we'll just get into it. I've got my notes here on my phone this time. And I'm really excited. So yesterday was the 25th anniversary of a really important album to me. That means that it came out in 1998, the album that I'm referring to. And I wondered if you wanted to, we'll start off by playing a game. Do you want to guess what that album is from 1998?
1998?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I'll give you a clue. It is not Before These Crowded Streets by Dave Matthews Band.
Oh, yeah, I would have never guessed that because I listen to good music.
Did you listen to good music in 1998, though?
Of course I did.
Yeah, that's true. You probably did, actually.
There was some of the best music was happening around 1998. In fact, I might dabble in the 90s myself later.
I dabble in the 90s myself. You might be. All right. Well, so a couple. I had some things that I was going to quiz you. Like,
okay.
Did this
Pay attention to you and not the chat saying how bad our audio is.
Are they saying it's bad?
Engage in the show and not. I'm not on the.
Did I make the audio worse by turning things up over here? Because that's what I did.
You're apparently the loudest person on earth, and no one can hear me, and there's like weird buzzing. So, which is weird because you actually sound really quiet to me. So everyone's it's kind of a choose your own adventure here.
Yeah.
However you want to listen to us. If you're in Spokane, maybe Jason's in that universe. Jason's really loud and I'm really buzzy. Maybe in New York, I'm really loud and Jason's just looking real cool. Sounded kind of quiet.
I don't know.
Maybe you have a floating mic. I don't know. Your mic looks like it's floating. Is that the problem?
all the volumes now, I'm looking and I'm seeing volume coming in. You and I are
Yeah.
coming in at the same level. We're just gonna have to just charge ahead
Let's just stop talking about it.
boldly going where many podcasters have gone before.
If this one sounds like crap, you know what? Deal with it, people.
We'll give you a refund if you want one.
Yeah.
Anyway, 1998.
Back to Dave Matthews Band.
A couple of incredible things happened. One, the Dave Matthews Band released their chart-topping album, Before These Crowded Streets. Other things that happened that year. One, Linda McCartney passed away.
R.I.P.
April 17th, 1998. R.I.P. Linda. I've been listening to Wild Prairie so much since our last talk. Just, that's a side note. My clicks are not about the Beatles this time. But we have to mention Beatles stuff, or else it's not Click Vortex. So,
Of course.
Wild Prairie, so good. Linda McCartney, one of the greats. Another kind of tragic thing that happened in 1998, Weird Al Yankovic shaved his signature mustache in 1998, which rendered him, nobody could tell who he was anymore until he started singing parodies of popular songs, and then they realized, oh yeah, it's
Did
him.
he do a Dave Matthews parody?
I don't think that
Even he knows not to touch Dave Matthews Band.
I mean, you kind of wonder, like, what would he do to make it funnier? And the answer, he would just, he just sort of, if he does a
The
Dave,
challenge would be, what would he do to make it good?
Dewan right now furiously typing out a message, I'm sure.
He's not thrilled.
Also in 1998, Mark Hollis of Talk Talk, one of my favorite bands, released his singular solo album. It was called Mark Hollis, and that was the only one he did. He passed away a few years ago, meaning we're not going to get a follow-up to that record. When asked why he never made a follow-up, he's like, I didn't want to make a follow-up. And I think that's kind of a great reason to not make something, is because you don't want to make it.
That's what I've been doing. That's my method.
The other day,
Need to make another album? I don't want to.
I'm sure you know this feeling. The other day I worked on some music with my friends Dadweed and Andrew from Dadweed, and we were working on a thing on Sunday, and I wrote some lyrics, and I was feeling pretty good about everything. Went back the next day, looked at all of the lyrics, and was like, this is easily the worst thing anyone's ever written. So I scrapped that. But
It probably wasn't that bad. I would guess you're maybe being a little hard on yourself there.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, even if it's not that bad, it definitely wasn't that good.
Worst thing anyone's ever written is maybe my notes for today.
Is it? It's Dave
I would
Is
put
it a
that.
Dave Matthews song? So far, you've been very
Just my general notes.
Okay.
That are pretty terrible.
okay. So I'll quit beating around the bush and get to what actually happened in 1998 that I was psyched about.
Okay.
25 years ago, as of yesterday, Madonna's "Ray of Light" came out. I don't know how you feel.
I remember that.
Yeah. How do you feel about "Ray of Light" by Madonna?
I seem to recall at the time there was a track on it that I liked. It was maybe sort of had an acoustic vibe to it.
Yeah. "Drowned
Very
World,"
dancey.
substitute for
Very dancey record, right?
Oh yeah. Are you hearing some guitars right now?
Sort of.
Hopefully some people are. It's about to get dancey. Kind of a long vamp on this dance thing. But eventually. So anyway,
Good song. It's kind of a very flashy video. Things are happening fast from what I remember. There's like maybe some time-lapsey things happening. I don't know. It's very seizure warning, much like our backdrops.
it is very seizure warnings, and the video was a big deal, and the video is something that I'm going to discuss some because, I remember when this song came out, like, obviously I knew who Madonna was. Madonna had been famous at that point for quite a while.
Just a bit.
So it came out in 98, which means it followed 1996, that Evita, she made Evita.
Oh yeah, was that the like "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina"?
Right, which was kind of like a big movie and all this other stuff. But that doesn't count as a proper Madonna record, even though she sings on the soundtrack. The one before this was, let's see, what do I got? Oh, Bedtime Stories from 1994. It's a bunch of Babyface collaborations. She worked on that one with him.
I remember that one.
By 98, she's kind of like, I got to switch things up, which becomes, or had already been, sort of a standard Madonna move to introduce like a new guys, kind of Bowie-esque in that way, right?
She's got to reach the kids.
She's got to reach the kids. And in 1998, there was nothing that the kids were into more than electronic dance music,
Other than possibly ecstasy.
which they took at electronic dance music raves. So they decide, her label and some people there are like, we're going to hook Madonna up with this this producer, William Orbit. And
Yeah, I remember him.
and so, so William Orbit, he did, I mean, obviously a ton of stuff. He
He did some
worked,
cool remixes from what I remember.
that was like kind of the thing, right? Like there's some U2 remixes that he did. He worked with Britney Spears. He worked with Kraftwerk. He worked with Beck. He produced Blur's 13, which I believe is a record that you like an awful lot.
Yep.
So William Orbit was a big,
I didn't know he produced that actually though.
he was,
Nice little
there you go.
something new every day.
We learned something new on Click Vortex every
We
time.
got Marco in the house. I just have to give Marco a little shout out because I think his birthday is very soon. Is it today? It's tomorrow. I think his birthday's tomorrow. Is today the 23rd?
Today's the 23rd.
Happy early birthday to Marco.
And happy anniversary to my friend wife, Becky. I don't think we've got her in the chat right now. She's probably busy doing her job.
How many years is that with the friend wife?
We are in. This is something that we've discussed, right? Because we're having some people over.
How many years have you been friends? And how many years have you been has she been wife? And then collectively, what's the total? And then just the friend wife only. I want all four numbers.
Oh my God. So this is this is our 10th anniversary. We're going into our 10th year of being married.
10th year of friend wife.
And 10th year friend wife. And then we started dating in 2008. That's 15 years ago. And then we were friends just a few months before we started dating. So,
Yeah.
you know,
just friend at that point, and then friend, girlfriend,
friend,
wife.
girlfriend, 5 years after that, friend, wife, and now here we are.
I think I'm following. All right. Anyway, back to Madonna.
Also, happy birthday, Marco. I don't know how Marco feels about Ray of Light by Madonna. I think it's a banger. When I did that Rock Lottery thing a while back, I tried to get the crew to cover this song. This has been a long-standing ambition of mine to do a cover of it's a Do You Freak Out water bottle.
Talking.
Yeah, that's our official. Oh, it just disappeared. Yeah, I love this
I'm gonna be
song.
drinking a lot of water because I'm very dried out.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a dry time for you. When we last got together and we're talking, you're warmer. You were warmer in New York than I was here in Phoenix,
Yeah.
which is freaky.
Yeah. I have this weird condition where if I talk too much, then I just get very dried out, and so this, really making things a lot worse for me right now. But it's cool. I'm having fun. Luckily, no one can hear me, so it doesn't. This is all for nothing. All this pain is for nothing.
That's a theme of the Madonna record, Ray of Light. All this pain is for nothing. Do you like that beautiful segue back towards the topic?
You're the king.
Something that I was very fascinated by was Madonna. So this is the record where the kind of like short, too long didn't read distillation of Ray of Light by Madonna was Madonna decides she gets spiritual. She decides to go a little into the sort of mystic realms of things with this record. And she said
Is this the Kabbalah era?
yeah, this is Kabbalah. This is Kabbalah era. She's doing yoga. She's doing Kabbalah. They bring in the label brings in a pronunciation coach to help her with Sanskrit pronunciations.
Oh wait, so this is when she became British.
Yeah.
No, that was a little bit before that, but maybe a bit more so.
I don't know when the British, but I feel like I know what you mean. She gets help with this pronunciation, but another thing that she talked about was she became a mother right before this record. And she talked about how having a kid kind of tempered her ego in a way that was interesting to her. And I having no children myself, I thought I would ask you, did having a child, one, get you into Kabbalah, or two, did Did it change the way you viewed the world when you had a child?
Yes, I would say so. I don't want to be a bummer, but it made me kind of look at the world in maybe a more negative light. The ray of light for me was a bit negative because, I mean, you're just thinking when you're in the world yourself, you're just like, yeah, the world kind of sucks, but whatever, I'm getting through it. But then when you start thinking of the doom and gloom that can happen as your child grows, you start to, get a little freaked out.
Right.
Like, what did I do here? Did I make a huge mistake? Because now my child's gonna have to live in this horrible place, but you get over it.
Yeah, because the world is always bad, but it's always good too. It's both of those things all the time. I'm sure that's part of
The world's really great at being bad and good equally.
I mean, it's the duality of existence, and that's part of
what Madonna learned mostly in 1998.
I think that's what she's getting into with this one. Anyway, it is a really incredible song. I think it's like the riff. It's a surprisingly, although it is like, oh hey, Madonna's gone electric, and not electronic. The proposed title for this album was Veronica Electronica, which
I remember that from something. I heard that, and I wish that would have happened because it's so much cooler.
It is maybe cooler than Ray of Light. The song Ray of Light could stay Ray of Light, but yeah, Veronica Electronica would have been great. Even though it is super electronic, there's a ton of guitar on this one. And I was like, who's doing that?
A lot of acoustic guitar, right?
Well, yeah, and electric on the song Ray of Light, but yeah, acoustic throughout the album, a guitar throughout the album. Most of the guitars were played by William Orbit himself.
I wish I could remember the song that I really liked on that record.
I'm guessing that maybe it was Drowned World, Substitute for Love, or it might have been, Is It Nothing Really Matters? There are some really good. The whole album itself is good, but the song Ray of Light is sort of what I ended up focused on. So here's the thing that a lot of people, I mean, I think fans know, but it was built on a kind of a sample/cover. Have you ever heard the original thing?
I don't think so.
Here, let's listen to a little bit. So this is from 1971. Kind of a weaker chorus is what some people might say. That was by Kurt.
I kind of like that though. I like the sort of
like
out there chorus that doesn't make any sense.
No, totally, and it's a cool song. So that's a group called Curtis Muldoon. They were an English folk duo. These are real prime Jason notes. I'm gonna cite directly what my notes say, and you can tell me how stupid this is. They're an English folk duo from England.
Okay.
As opposed to, Anyway, they put that out on 1971 self-titled album. It was released by Purple Records, which was founded by Deep Purple, and that's like it's like a duo there, Dave Curtis and Clive Muldoon. So they wrote the original version. It's called Sephirin, and somewhere along the line,
deep cut.
Somewhere along the line, William Orbit heard it and he thought, "Hey, that's pretty cool." So, as a big fan of this song and as a big fan of Madonna, I knew this part of it. And one of the funniest things is that Curtis himself, he didn't know that this was happening, that they were going to be sampled. And so he's driving along one day and he hears Ray of Light on the radio. And he thinks to himself, "Hey, that's a song I wrote," basically. And he was kind of annoyed until he learned he was going to receive 15% of the royalties as he had a songwriter credit. They didn't try to stiff him. He just somehow didn't know it had happened.
How was he not notified of that? That seems very bizarre.
I don't know. But for whatever reason, Wikipedia had the breakdown of these. Another 15% was given to Madonna's estate, and the rest was earned by Madonna's record company. So he got 15%. She did 15% for her estate, 30% for herself, and then the rest goes to the label. Anyway, I don't know.
Makes sense.
I don't know how it breaks down. But so I did actually know about Sephirin, and I had listened to that original folk song. What I didn't know, and this is why I love doing Click Vortex with you, is that I didn't realize that actually there was like a whole, the reason that our guy William knew the song is because he had actually cut a demo of it before playing it for Madonna. That's a little of this, and this is with a singer named Christine Leach. That it's basically the same song, minus some of the production choices.
I forgot how like groovy that guitar was. Now it all makes sense that where it came from.
Yeah, it's funny too because Wikipedia cites that the guitar sounds like Oasis, which is kind of true, maybe, unless you discount that Oasis is perhaps one of the most derivative rock bands of all time.
Right.
And so anything that sounds like Oasis probably sounds like the Beatles or the Stones or
I think that's what they were going for.
Led Zeppelin.
I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but I think that's what they were
it seems that that's what they were going for. So anyway, here's the thing. Christine Leach, she had recorded a version of it with William Orbit. She's Curtis Muldoon's, Clive Muldoon's niece. So she knew the song because it was
Robin Leach's daughter, which is even crazier.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Anyway, so she had recorded a version of it.
Great Good Charlotte song, by the way. Anyway.
I wasn't listening to Good Charlotte in 1998, but would be soon thereafter. I remember buying that first Good Charlotte record at the Virgin Megastore and thinking, this is real punk rock music.
And Tim sold it to you, and he's like...
Tim sold it to
sucks.
me, and he told me they sucked, and that I should be listening to Dave Matthews. That Tim's who turned me on to Dave Matthews. A lot of people don't know
Tim?
that. No, I'm lying. He hates Dave Matthews more than you.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way that happened.
So Christine Leach, she cuts a version of it, but, her uncle had passed away, and I guess she didn't feel like it was important to tell Curtis about having cut the demo. But also the demo went nowhere until Madonna, while working on this record, heard it and was like, I really like this, let's work on it. So they start working on it. William Orbit employed some interesting production techniques, including forcing Madonna to sing out of register. She didn't want to sing as high as she did. He insisted that it was the right move because he thought it would give her voice kind of a more arresting quality, and that when she went up for the high notes, they were going to almost break on her, which they do. And
They do.
it is a huge part of why the song is groovy and cool. So he was very smart, and this is where I love this kind of stuff. There's a 10-minute version of the song. Madonna basically was like, yeah, I heard that song. We started our version of it song. And I get that because I believe one of my more mystic beliefs is that an artist can tap into something universal or cosmic or beyond them when they're working on music, even if they didn't write the song. And I think that's what happened with this song because it really feels like there's an ecstatic quality to it. So that 10-minute...
10-minute, like, helter-skelter version of Ray of Light out there?
There, I guess, but it amazingly, even in this internet age, still has not leaked properly. There was going to be a compilation album called Veronica Electronica that it was slated to be included on. That never came out. So a couple years ago, a 7-minute version leaked, but it turns out, that's not the same one that she was talking about. So... because they had to cut out more than like 6 minutes of the tune. So my hope is that eventually the 10-minute mega mix will be released, and that
That'll be on the 50th anniversary.
Oh my God, we got 25 years before that's the case.
Can't wait.
So
I'm gonna put an alert on my calendar now for 2000 whatever that is.
I wasn't even going to attempt to figure out what year that is. That's sad and upsetting, but. So there we go. That's some thoughts on Madonna's Ray of Light. But you did mention the video. It's like mostly her. She's wearing a lot of denim, very Gap looking.
Very 2003.
She looks great. I think she looks super cool in this video. I always thought that it was one of the coolest looking things. But yeah, tons of flashing lights. Mostly her kind of dancing and like jumping around and being kind of weird.
Tripping balls, I think, is the proper term for that.
I hope so, The video was...
There was like a big drug. Oh no, maybe that was the next record. Didn't MDMA or something?
Oh, that was a couple records later. The next record was Music, which I also like an awful lot. That has
Oh yeah, that's a great.
Music is
That's a great song.
the bourgeoisie and the rebel. Yeah, you remember. Yeah, so that's some more William Orbit stuff. MDMA came a couple...
This might be controversial, but Madonna's kind of great.
I would go as far as to say I completely agree. Madonna is pretty great. I've fallen off with the new stuff. I haven't really kept up with it, and nothing hits me quite the way this specific record does. But yeah, I mean, the Immaculate Collection, it's just nothing but hit after hit. You can't believe how nuts and cool it was. And as we've talked about multiple times here on Click Vortex, kind of had a punk rock origin story. It was kind of punky in the beginning, associated with that. So that video, though, was directed by a guy named Jonas Ackerlund. Do you know him?
I do not believe so.
Well, he's a Swedish film director and screenwriter, and he directed a movie called Lords of Chaos a few years back about the black metal scene. All those guys who burned churches and ate each other's skulls and stuff like that.
Oh, right. Yo, you told me about that. I haven't seen that yet, though.
Yeah. Well, I've never actually I've seen the Until the Light Takes Us documentary, but I guess Lords of Chaos was like a movie, like fictionalized, but drawing from that stuff. My mic keeps disappearing. It's weird and
it's cool.
And cool.
Yeah.
You can definitely see the green. I'm sorry, guys. You can tell that we're not quite. I
think this is great.
This is riveting.
I like this setup, even if people can't hear us and there's lots of buzzing. I think it's cool.
Oh boy.
Technology.
Jonas Ackerlund, the Ray of Light video was a big deal for him. He won a Grammy Award for Best Music Video, short form, and won a record 5 MTV Music Video Awards, including Video of the Year. So it was a big deal.
Wait, what else did he do?
Well, so I decided, I mean, he's done a ton of videos, including lots more collaborations with Madonna and a bunch of just tons of people. But I decided I would focus just on the videos he did in 1998 because bizarrely, both were massively, massively popular to me. In addition to Ray of Light, he also did the video for Metallica's Turn the Page, which is a cover of a Bob Seger song. Do you know the one?
I do.
This is a song that...
That was the Reloaded album? Is that what it was called?
Wait, what?
Is that album called Reloaded?
No. That was on Garage Days Revisited, which came out after Reloaded. That was their covers album, which was the first place I ever heard Misfits songs.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because they cover... I think they covered Die, 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 My Darling, and I remember that being like... I was pretty scared by Metallica and by that song, but Turn the Page is a little more tuneful. It's obviously it's a Bob Seger song, and apparently Lars heard it and was like, this has got James Hetfield written all over it. Introduced the crew to the song. They did it. Jonas Ackerlund was brought in to make a music video, and he employed a pornographic actor named Ginger Lynn to play a sex worker. MTV refused to air the video due to a scene of sexual assault and nudity. And MTV, they did that. That somehow, of course, just created more of an interest in showing the video, I think. So they would say, like, we're not going to show this, but then they would show it, like, past a certain time of night.
Right. Like, yeah, past 11 or something on cable, you can basically do whatever you want.
Right, which is, I think, actually how I first saw it, because I remember seeing a clip or a commercial for, like, tonight we're showing all of our banned videos, which, first off, that's hilarious. You can't show banned videos, because if you're showing them, they're not really banned. But I remember that. I remember watching that video, and I remember thinking, wow, this is nuts. I can't believe that Jonas Ackerlund put nudity in this video. But he also directed another video in 1998 that I saw on that very same broadcast. Okay. And that is the video for the song My Favorite Game by the Cardigans. Do you know that one? From Gran Torino? Is it Turismo?
Turismo.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So you can hear a little of that behind the group. Obviously, do you remember that video?
Yes.
So that was the video where Nina Pearson's in like a super cool old car, and she puts a cinder block on the ignition or the gas, the ignition, the gas. But you can tell that in addition to we're gearheads, we're car guys. Clearly, you know. She put a cinder block on the thing that makes the car move forward.
Rebuild a motor later.
Yeah, that's our car talk. We're doing car talk the next generation.
Turismo is what it is.
Gran Turismo. Okay, I'm sure that's
Turismo. Turismo. I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so that video, he was apparently on a real controversial kick that year because it ends with her kind of getting like ejected, and there are a bunch of different versions of the ending, including some where she gets decapitated. So kind of a brutal situation with the video for My Favorite Game. But I remember seeing that. I think the version that I saw on this band videos broadcast just ends with her getting launched into the street or something. So, but that's a great song too, right? So,
Great album.
Jonas.
We don't know what it's called. It's still great.
It's great. The Cardigans are great. They obviously had a huge hit a few years before with Loveful. Nothing on that record hit. My Favorite Game didn't hit the same way in terms of like chart success, but nonetheless, yeah, pretty cool stuff.
So many trains in Phoenix right now.
It's train season here.
Like a train.
That they call it spring training because of that, I think.
Yeah.
That was a dumb joke.
It was good.
I mentioned that I don't have any children, yet that was clearly a dad joke of some sort.
You got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. So yeah, that's it. That's what I worked up, Jonas. So we went from Madonna to
Just knocking stuff over.
Jonas Ackerland to Metallica to the Cardigans, and the Ray of Light video was not controversial. It was just famous and popular, and that's a great song. But 1998, good year for tunes, good year for Madonna, good year for Kabbalah. That's when I learned what Kabbalah was.
Kicked out of your house. That's the year my parents kicked me out of my house. 1998, good year.
Did they find a Metallica record? That's what I was worried would happen. That's what I was worried was going to get me kicked out of my house.
I think Marco was even there. I think Marco's the only witness of that event.
You had a friend who was there when you got kicked out of your house?
I think he was there. I remember him being there for some reason, but maybe he wasn't. He can chime in on the chat and let the world know if he was there.
You were too punk?
Marco remembers van life. So when I got kicked out, I had an old like Ford Econoline van that I bought for. Yes, Marco was there. That I bought for our band to tour in, and turns out I just ended up sleeping in it for a while. In the first place, I think probably because Marco was there, I was like, "Hey, can I just park in your house?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And then like within 24 hours, neighbors were thoroughly freaked out, and I think his parents were like, "Hey, dude, you gotta maybe find somewhere else to park." Maybe they gave me a couple days, but it was very nice. They gave me some time.
That's pretty nuts.
Oh yeah. He also called another mutual friend of ours an SOB. He didn't say son of a bitch. He just said SOB, and my mom reprimanded him for that.
Wait, for saying SOB?
Just SOB. Just
not even. Yeah, not saying. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he edited himself.
Wow.
We still got in trouble as young kids.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's incredible. So 1998 was the year that you set off on your own to build, to find your destiny, to embark on the journey that's led us to today.
Yes. We can trace everything back to that day in 1998.
Wow. And as you're driving away, you turn on the car and they're playing Madonna, Ray of Light on
probably
KZON.
Yes,
I don't know where they would. Yeah.
The one thing that van had was a killer stereo because I bought it for my uncle, and that was the first thing he did in all the cars that he bought was put in a stereo and turn it up ridiculously loud.
So you were ahead of the curve in terms of this whole van life fad. You were you're the original van lifer.
Oh yeah, I'm OG.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So yeah, that brings my clicks to a close, and
Cool.
I think we're on to you. Unless you have any more thoughts on Madonna's Ray of Light or the Kabbalah.
I don't. Like, do you remember things like this where you just have sort of like a photograph that flashes in your head for a certain thing? So like for every memory
Sure.
I have, I don't really remember. I just get these flashes, and this flash I keep having is the Ray of Light CD on the floor of the passenger seat of Nate Rush's Honda Civic. The jewel case crushed, but the liner notes being intact, and it being there on the floor for like months.
Yeah.
That's the memory. Every time you say Ray of Light, I just get that flash. It's like, did you ever see the TV show Dead Zone with Anthony Michael Hall, the Stephen King adaptation?
No, I've never actually watched it. I know what it is, but I've never watched it.
Well, every time he would touch someone's hand, he would get this like.
Oh
flash
yeah.
That would happen. That's kind of what's happening when you say Ray of Light. I go, and I just see this shot from the Honda Civic.
That crushed jewel case.
Yeah.
Jewel cases not durable.
Not really. No.
Pretty
Not great.
discs
Not great.
themselves pretty tough actually, and would play even while pretty scratched. But those jewel cases.
Very scratched.
Yeah.
I liked the cardboard case. I was a big fan of the cardboard case.
The Digipack.
The Digipack.
Yeah.
Or the cardboard slip sleeve.
I'm.
Even better.
Oh yeah, I got there for a while there at the record store at ZI. I would sometimes get. I never quit buying CDs. I've never stopped buying CDs in my whole life. But I remember like the original master recordings. They would almost do like fake vinyl sleeves for little CDs. Those are kind of nice.
Oh yeah. Decoy Deloy is asking his own trivia question here. What Bjork music video came out in 1998?
Hyper ballad.
I'm thinking I'm thinking the cover of the what was it, like a Frank Sinatra cover or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a cool video.
Yeah.
Was that 98? I feel like that was around 98. Maybe that was earlier. I forget what that song's
I'm
called.
trying to remember which record would be appropriate. Post, I think. Did we get a response yet, Decoy Deloy? What's the
Not
deal?
yet.
Fill us in. I don't see the comments, so I have to just ask.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting you can't see the comments. Sorry.
It's okay.
Anyway, all right, so I'll move on. I'll moving right along, to quote. Let's see. Where are my notes? So another friend of mine from this era, who oh wait, Army of Me. That was it. Okay. No one seems to know.
Army of Me is the song?
Hunter. Oh, okay. Hunter is the video.
Okay.
The track, I guess.
I don't remember that video. I remember the Army of Me video.
Okay, so anyway, a friend of mine, a friend of ours, is just sort of discovering the band Pavement this week.
Wow.
This person was a member of the Format's touring crew, so he was in the van, and the van had a lot of Pavement going on. But I guess this is the first time that he's ever actually sat down and listened to a record from start to finish. This is our friend Toko, by the way, in case anybody's wondering.
Toko, who was one of the first callers to the Wastoids hotline, 1-877-Wastoids. Thank you, Toko.
Yeah, Toko has a great story from the desert, which Marco was also there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Toko sits down and he's reporting in via text message as he typically does, and he is telling me how much he loves Crooked Rain, which remind me before I get into this. Are you a Pavement fan?
Am I a Pavement fan?
Yeah.
I am a Pavement fan. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought you were, but I couldn't remember.
I am a Pavement fan. I'm a longtime Pavement fan. They were one of the first. I've never been one for much schooling, Sam, but when I was in my freshman year of community college at Central Arizona College,
High school, Ivy League.
yeah, it's definitely some kind of league. Maybe the Cactus League, I think, is what it was. But no, one of the first friends I made in college was a really cool lady named Trish, and she ended up getting married to my friend Jared Carter. But she burned me all the Pavement discography and gave it to me.
Nice. So you were familiar with Crooked Rain then?
Now
That's
I am.
cool. So I got to say that record's kind of a sleeper for me personally. So I came in let's see, when did I came in, I guess, in the Brighten the Corners era.
Hmm.
I feel like I saw some performance on 120 Minutes, but it might have just been the stereo video. Do you remember that? It was kind of like your microphone. It was Stephen Malcolmus, but he had no head. His head was invisible, and there's just things happening. So it's much, we could probably recreate it here if we tried hard enough to do it. But,
And
but
just
yeah,
like
so-
our broadcast, the Pavement audio was always staticky and hard to hear.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, I do love this record. I have listened to it a lot. I bought it back in the 90s because I'm old, but it's not one I go back to a ton because I'm usually really busy listening to my top three, which are Wowie Zowie,
Mhm.
big one. Shout out to Steve Keen, friend of the Wastoid show. Marco's saying Slanted and Enchanted. That's, I would say, not. I wouldn't even put that on my list, actually, which is probably not a popular thing to say.
Interesting.
Brighten the Corners is also in my top three. And number one for me, sorry, Terror Twilight.
Wow.
It just is. Something tells me the dudes from the Spindle are probably waiting outside to kick my ass for saying that Terror Twilight's my favorite Pavement record, but
Yeah, John Howard is about to drop a.
he just threw up.
He's
He
gonna
just, he literally threw up.
he's gonna jump off a table and just elbow into you.
Oh, and Stephen Malcolmus just jumped in the chat and he says, "You're dead to me now."
Oh
So
man.
just confirming that was not a good choice. But I don't know. I love that record. I think it's. I know why. I was thinking back last night. Why do I love that? So I saw the video or I saw something, and went to the. This was also right around the time. This is like 1997 maybe. So the early 1997. I just got a car. I'm the only one with a car. It's the boat. Marco remembers the boat, the '67 Chrysler New Yorker, and we would all pile in this thing, and we would go to Taco Bell, and then we would go to Zia Records. Which, remind me, do you have some kind of connection with Zia Records? Do we know
Mm-mm.
somebody that still works there? Something.
No, never heard of it.
Zia Records. Anyway, so it's this. I know you're not familiar. So it's this record store, still around in Phoenix, I think.
Interesting. And maybe Las Vegas and Tucson as well.
Probably, maybe on Speedway, something like that. I'm not sure.
That's the one.
So I was into Brighten the Corners a lot because that was just the one that was my discovery, So I got into it, and at that time, I went back. Next one I bought was Wowie Zowie. Absolutely loved it, so that became my second favorite. And then I like the other ones. I like Crooked Rain. I like Slanted and Enchanted. I think I bought the. Well, I know I did. I forget what it's called though. It's like the collection of all the early EPs. It's like Westinghouse and
Yeah.
Musket or something like that.
Westing by Musket and
Yeah,
Sextant.
that's right. Thank you. That one I wasn't. I mean, at that time, I don't think I was educated enough to appreciate the early days. Yeah. Now when I go back and listen to that stuff, it's really cool. But at the time, it was those two records, and then a couple years later, Terror Twilight came out, so I got to experience that release in real time.
Right.
I remember driving to, not to Zia Records, but when I would buy records the day they came out, I would typically go to, for whatever reason, Best Buy.
Mm.
And I remember going to Best Buy in Mesa. I forget what that mall's called. Anita and Miranda will remember whatever the mall was in Mesa. But I
Fiesta.
went there and bought, Fiesta. Is that what it was called? Fiesta Mall? Yeah. I bought this record, and then I actually, glad Marco's here. I know that we listened to it a ton. I think I have a lot of memories of driving around in my Workmaster truck at that point with Marco listening to Terror Twilight. But I also remember that weekend that the record came out, driving to California for some reason. I think we were probably trying to get our terrible band signed to Drive Through Records or something, and we were driving out to California. I was with Nate. I think it was just Nate and I were in this car for some reason, and we listened to it the whole way there and back. So that record really got solidified in my brain. But we're gonna back up a little bit. We're gonna go back 5 years now, 1994. So Terror Twilight was 98. So we're hovering in the 90s here. We got 98, 99. Now we're going back to 1995.
We love the 90s.
We do love the 90s. There were some super notable tracks on Crooked Rain though. We got some bangers. We got Cut Your Hair.
Yep.
We got Gold Sounds. And then if I can make this work, one of my all-time favorite Pavement songs, despite the fact that this album's not in my top 3. One of my favorite songs is called Unfair. And this one really jumped out of Toko, too, which reminded me of this awesome performance that they did on Fallon in 2010 when they first got back together. I think their first TV performance when they reunited was on the show, and they did Unfair, and it was just like... Is that loud for you?
Very. I love it.
That's Bob just going absolutely.
Man,
Like
Bob is
unhinged.
so
He's
cool.
Like the coolest person on earth.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and looks a lot like Aaron Burns from Hello Screen Printing, as Anita pointed out.
I-
Has a similar vibe.
Very accurate. Shout out to Aaron and Bob.
Yeah, shout out to Bob. Bob is just like, man, he's the best. So I think we mentioned on the show at some point that I saw Pavement at the end of last fall in New
Yeah.
York. And yeah, I mean, just the energy level goes up to like 10,000 when he starts doing his thing, you know, when he does his hype man routine. Love it so much. But anyway, this record, this is the second album from Pavement, second full-length album from Pavement. According to Wikipedia, it sold about 500,000 copies, although it doesn't seem to have any kind of legit certification. And it was released on Valentine's Day in 1994. So we're coming up here on 30 years, another anniversary today, or today next year. So, you know what I'm saying. Another side note: I feel like 1990 really started to take off for alternative music in 1994, right? When I go back and I think, what was like the pivotal year? I know there was some stuff. There was obviously some Nirvana stuff happening, Pearl Jam stuff happening. That's when like it was being introduced. But I feel like by '94, we were really we were deep into the 120 minutes era, where the things are really starting to
for sure.
get great.
I think you also get all the Nevermind came out in 91 maybe.
I think around there, 91 or 92. I can't remember.
And I believe Kurt Cobain passed away in 1994. He ended his own life then. But I do think that you're right, because I think that 94. But I think they call it 91 the year punk broke or whatever. But I think that when you look at 94, you sort of see the results of all the bands that got signed in the wake of Nirvana.
It takes a few years to get out of whatever the last cycle was, to
Right.
go from the 80s, very 80s thing into more loose, kind of back to roots rock stuff. And
Yeah.
taking that where it goes, and that turned into the 90s. So, I mean, I was looking at the list of things that came out in 1994, and this is my little dad joke. We definitely have Definitely Maybe, which is maybe not in the alternative category, but definitely in the shitty category.
I loved that record so much.
I know you did. We got Soundgarden, Super Unknown, Blur, Parklife,
Good.
Nirvana Unplugged, huge album.
Yeah.
I know Mark was a fan of that. Weezer, Blue Album, man, don't even get me started there.
The last record they ever put out. I'm just kidding.
Vitology,
Yeah, I liked that one a lot.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Salt, Ill Communication, The Crow soundtrack, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Lost in L.A. I mean, everyone's favorite. Red
Yeah.
Hot Chili Peppers, Lost
Wait,
in L.A.
what is? I actually don't know what Lost in L.A. is. By the
I
way,
don't know what that is either.
Okay.
I recognize the cover. The cover is just, I think it's probably Anthony Kiedis, his crotch in underwear.
Okay.
Behind some kind of trippy, very Red Hot Chili Peppers stupid background thing.
Is it It's like a live or a compilation or something like that. It's got to be.
Yeah, maybe it's an EP or who knows. Yeah, maybe a live EP or something. Yeah, I knew Anita and Miranda would like the Crow soundtrack. That was a big one. That's in the chat.
I don't remember what's on the Crow soundtrack. I'm tempted to just say the name Stabbing Westward.
Well, there was a Stabbing Westward album that came out in 1994. I saw Stabbing Westward later. I had a girlfriend that was a huge fan.
I don't know if I could tell you what Stabbing Westward even sounds like, but the band name
on
stuck
the Crow
in.
soundtrack is, you got Stone Temple Pilots,
Sure.
with Big Empty. You got Rollins Band. You got Rage Against the Machine, Jesus and the Mary Chain, Pantera, Nine Inch Nails, Helmet,
Okay.
Cure, great Cure song, Burn. That's
Okay.
a killer song.
Yeah.
My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, Violent Femmes, Color Me Once, great song. And then For Love Not Lisa, I don't remember that
Oh yeah,
band or song.
kind of like a 4AD style. Or maybe their project record. Anyway, yeah, very gothy.
Can't Rain All the Time by Jane Siberry. I don't remember that one either.
Yeah.
Those are the last two tracks.
Very goth, very goth centric. Very probably foundational goth record for a lot of '90s kids.
Yeah, it was some good stuff. And according to Wikipedia, they're backing me up here. This was the seminal moment in history of indie rock. This album, Crooked Rain, we got All Music 5 stars. We got Spin 9 out of 10. We got New York Favorites, Village Voice A. These are all different grading scales. I picked all the ones that were different. And then Rolling Stone gave it 4 stars. They ranked it number 210 on their top 500 albums of all time and number 10 on their top 90s albums.
Dang.
Which is really cool. And so I don't know. I think Toke was onto something here. This is a good album. I might have to reevaluate. I might have to, if I take history out of the mix, if I take the emotion, the emotional aspect out of it,
Yeah.
just go purely by songs, I might have to reevaluate my top 3.
You might have to.
Or maybe I could just start saying I have a top 4, and then everything's included except for Slanted Enchanted, which I don't count. Because another thing about this is the first record where they get their lineup that they have today. Prior to that, it was just Stephen Malcolm's Spiral Stairs. What's his name? Scott. What's Scott's last name? I forget. Cranenberg or something.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
with
they had this drummer Gary Young who was playing drums, and I think even recording a lot of the stuff they were working on prior to this stuff. So this is like the cool lineup, and I think some of these dudes were around prior to this record, but maybe they were just live members. But then at this point, they start recording on all the albums, and you see them now for the next 30 years.
yeah.
So, other fun little New Yorky thing, just because I'm in New York and I love talking about it, is that Stephen Malcolm met Steve West, their drummer now, when they were both working at the Whitney.
Hey.
It's kind of cool.
I've only been to the Whitney once, but it's one of my favorite experiences ever. I really enjoyed going to the Whitney.
Great stuff.
Great stuff. Art.
Great stuff.
It's pretty good.
And now for something completely different.
Okay.
So this is going to seem like it's not about music, because it's not. But I'm going to try to get there. It's a bit of an experiment. It's a very dumb experiment, actually. But I just, I'll give you the backstory. So I'm a fan of this app, Notion. This is what I use to take my notes. I use it for my notes for Click Vortex. I'm looking at it right now. It's right here. But I also use it for many other things in my life. So it's cool. This is not an ad either, by the way. Sponsored.
Wastoids, brought to you by Notion.
Yeah, so anyway, this thing helps keep track of my totally chaotic, ridiculous life. And yesterday, I opened it up to document something that I was working on. I can't remember what it was. And I see a notification that there's now some kind of AI built into Notion, which I've thoroughly rejected this. I've had so many people have sent me things, but I messed around a little bit with the image stuff, where you could just give it some kind of prompt and generate things. I think I actually made a Dave Matthews Band one. I'm mostly using it for generating great memes or something, but I don't think it's useful for much stuff beyond that. But so anyway, I don't have a ton of time to mess around with it. But then last night, I'm procrastinating, of course. It's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I open up Notion to start working on my notes for this episode that we're doing right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, what's up with this AI nonsense? And I start just doing the dumbest stuff. And so I see things really great tools I'll probably use, check spelling, check grammar. Everyone knows I'm terrible at both of those things. You can take big blocks of text and say summarize this, which is helpful. Maybe we could use it to write our show descriptions, could save a little bit of time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then there's also stuff you can have it write stories for you. You can have it write blog posts for you. You can have it write social media posts for you. And then it has this open, just completely open prompt option, which is, probably what you've seen on Twitter where, I don't know, maybe you have. I don't know if you have or not. I guess I should ask, are you familiar with this? And what's your hot take, being who you are, a bit of a journalist, I would say. Is that what you would consider yourself, a journalist?
I don't know what I would.
I know your friend wife is.
My friend wife is a journalist for sure. We were talking about AI the other day, like particularly as a writing tool, and I mean, I guess maybe I tend to be skeptical in terms of the writing side of it, because like you can feed in all sorts of stuff and get like something that makes sense. I know like various educational institutions are dealing with people like turning in completely AI generated papers already, and like people who write, there's like a science fiction Clark's World, like, and they were like, hey, we're turning off submissions for a little while because like
I saw that, but I didn't really understand what that was. That was throwing me off a bit. I did see that though.
Yeah, that basically it's like you can generate this stuff, but I guess maybe like I think AI seems to me, and I don't like, I can't claim to be smart about most things, including this, but that never stops me from talking about them anyway. I think it makes sense, right, for distilling massive amounts of data, and I saw some really cool stuff about how they were using AI to search for extraterrestrial life, and I thought, hey, those are all interesting, cool applications. But as far as like AI writing the great American novel,
not right now. I mean, The way that I'm looking at it is there's definitely no way to stop this. I mean, we've all seen Terminator 2. Like, we know where this is going.
Yeah, and it works out well for humanity in that movie, I think.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I mean, if you can find a way to use it as a tool for yourself,
sure,
like a jumping off point. If you're stuck, there's like some brainstorming options here, which I actually thought were maybe kind of helpful.
For sure.
Because I typically have a tough time with writing, with like starting things. So a lot of times I'll just end up. I mean, you've experienced this in helping me when we were working on Merch Friends stuff, like. Will you just let me just ramble nonsense, and then you as a professional can tell me turn this into something that makes sense? Now I don't need you. I'll just use this robot.
Just use that robot instead. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So anyway, I was trying to think of like some. Here's some notes. We got. Sorry, I don't want to click bypass the chat members. So we got some comments here.
Oh yeah.
We got Anita saying, "Oh boy," because she knows where I'm going with it.
Okay.
We got Marco referring to me as Sam Memes, which I think is great. Marco always has the
great
jokes there.
Good job.
Decoy Deloitte says he needs to show us the image he made of Pee-wee at the movies. Probably not. Probably okay. Missing that one. Nita says she's pulling our daughter out of school because she doesn't need to know anything anymore because it's all going to be handed to her by AI.
Right.
And Marco says it's good for outlining projects, which I actually agree. I think that's going to be a good use.
I could see that. I could see that as like, I mean, the possibilities of it are probably. I mean, and I'm a big Star Trek fan, so the second one of these things becomes data, I'll start arguing for its sentience entirely.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, well, this thing's kind of garbage right now. I tried it out. Crooked Rain. I was like, hey, give me some cliff notes on this thing, and they were of course very top level, like just stupid, like. Crooked Rain was an album released by the band Pavement in 1994. It's like, I already got that, dude.
I like how your AI voice is sort of like your David Lynch voice. Crooked Rain was released by Matador Records in
So anyway, so I was like, okay, well, I was annoying everybody in our family chat with this last night, our group chat, of just sending stupid stories. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard, Miranda's dog, Beans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Beans is always coming to the office and walking around saying how she hasn't received her paycheck yet because she's been coming to work for years and still. So I asked AI to write a story about
Beans.
About Beans, and so in the story, Beans, as you might imagine, bands together with her fellow employees, and they barge down my door until I provide the paychecks for Beans. So it's pretty great. But anyway, so I'm like, all right, this is really dumb. This is annoying everybody. Anita's like, you got to stop. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I
keep annoying people with this?
Yeah, how can I keep annoying people with this? I was like, well, we're due for taking a suggestion from the old suggestion box, and since we don't have one, I was like, well, maybe we could just try this out. What better way to try it out than with a lifeless robot? So I wanted to kind of in real time here
Okay.
see if we could get this thing in Notion to generate some random cliff notes about some random thing, and then I'm going to take it a step further, which I'll explain after. So first of all, the only thing I really worked on in advance here was probably what would be a good thing to type based on some tests that I ran prior. And what I'm going to type in here is provide 10 interesting cliff notes about an obscure avant-garde album recorded in New York City in the 1960s. And we're going to see what it says.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Let's find out.
All right, so let's do this. I'm going to copy and paste this, do a little...
We're gonna stump the bots.
Here are 10 interesting cliff notes about New York City avant-garde album from the 1960s.
So it doesn't know. It's not gonna. You're not telling it what album.
No, so it has pulled the Velvet Underground and Nico. Surprise, surprise.
Okay. Pretty good record.
As the record, the most obvious choice. So here's what it gave us. This album is called Velvet Underground and Nico. It was released in 1967. It was produced by Andy Warhol, who also created the album's iconic banana art. The album was initially a commercial failure, but has since become a cult classic and is considered one of the most influential albums in rock history. Would you agree?
Would I agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. You've talked about this. You've talked about this album already, even maybe.
Maybe. I know I've talked about the Velvet Underground on Click Vortex. I talk about the Velvet Underground all the time. I'll probably leave here and just walk out of the office and start talking about the Velvet Underground to somebody.
This album's themes include drug use, sexual deviancy, and other taboo subjects. The band's sound was heavily influenced by experimental music and avant-garde art. Lou Reed, the band's lead singer, and primary songwriter, went on to have a successful solo career following the band's breakup. The album features the songs Heroin, I'm Waiting for the Man, and Venus in Furs. Does this all check out so far?
It's getting all these facts correct. Yeah.
All right. The band was known for their use of feedback and distortion in their music. There's some of that going on. The album was recorded in just 2 weeks in New York City. Impressive, not bad. And the album has been praised by musicians such as David Bowie, Iggy Pop, and Brian Eno.
These are all
Right.
those. So those are 10 items.
Those are 10 items that I guess, like if this was doing its own podcast, that would be what it would those would be the key points it would bring up, much like you did with Ray of Light. So I wanted to take this one step further and wanted to see if it could then generate our commentary
Okay.
this album, because I noticed after you generate something, you can say write more, you can just ask an additional question, and so I was going to try to have it write dialogue about this album between the two of us and have us read the dialogue that it is writing for us. So I'm going to say write Jason's dialogue
Okay.
about this, and then I'm going to send it to you, and I want you to read it, and I want to see if it's just as engaging as we are, because I know we're so totally
Yeah.
people are just like riveted by what we got going on here. So I got to make sure I got you pulled up so I can text you.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what it tells me to say.
All right, Jason. Here's what it tells you to say.
Okay. Here we go. This is happening live, guys.
Is everybody ready?
I hope folks are ready.
This is so stupid.
Okay. You're right.
What do you think about this, Jason? With those cliff notes I just read you.
Wow, those are some really interesting facts about the Velvet Underground and Nico. It's amazing how an album that was initially a commercial failure can go on to become so influential and beloved by
covered that on one of those cliff notes.
by so many people. I'm curious, have you ever listened to the album? If so, what did you think of it?
Okay, write more. All right. I have not listened to the album in its entirety, but I have heard some of the songs from it. I appreciate the experimental nature of their music and the honesty in their lyrics. It's clear that they were not afraid to tackle taboo subjects and push the boundaries of what was considered acceptable in music at the time. Well, let's write a response here
From me?
from you.
Right. Okay, here we go. It's also interesting to think about how Andy Warhol's involvement in the album's production and promotion contributed to its legacy. He was a key figure in the New York art scene, and his involvement in the album helped bring attention to it, even if that didn't immediately translate into commercial success.
Wow, so insightful.
Seems to be sort of restating stuff from the first thing it said, but
A little bit.
I'm hung up on the commercial success of this album, or lack thereof.
Well,
Sorry.
you know, overall, The Velvet Underground and Nico is definitely an important album in the history of rock music, and I can see why it continues to be celebrated and studied today. Okay. Well, I don't know, not bad.
I mean, it's, I guess, you know, the thing that's funny about AI, you know, is that, I mean, people are afraid. Some people are afraid of the sort of
I mean,
like,
people think it's going to take their jobs, and it's like, it is definitely like infringing on some copywritten material, I would imagine. It must be somehow scouring the internet.
I guess it's also maybe one of the hangups I have about it is like I'm not particularly worried that it's going to, that like we're not going to forget it, fire anybody who's ever written about stuff. We're just going to have AI generate it. One, though, it's reliant on things that people have already written, and it's reliant on the, you know, Wikipedia or whatever it's
Right.
pulling all these things from. But two, nothing, it hasn't said anything about the album, really. You know what I mean? Like, it said facts about the album, but it can't
On this Pavement record, and it was just like the most top level stuff it could possibly find.
But that's the thing. It's like, and I get that people are afraid of it or afraid of the possible applications of the technology. And it's not that I'm not afraid of maybe some stuff. To me, though, it's like systems thinking is what it's doing. It's arranging things in a digestible and understandable way, which is why maybe using it for outlining makes sense, right? But you're still going to need some sort of human, like.
I mean, I would like to think that, I mean, probably, I know I would be guilty of this if I had all this stuff at my disposal, but, you know, people were probably kind of just doing this manually. Like, I'm sure college kids are just grabbing other people's papers on, like, when I was in community college, my friend did that, and we were in a film, like Film 101 or something, and it was about MASH, and he just stole someone's paper. And the teacher came up to him after and was like, this paper's on MASH, the TV show. We were discussing MASH, the movie. And he was like, oh.
And if he were to.
So people are probably doing that, though, now. Like, you know, taking something, trying to change it. I know that there have been things out for a while that schools use to go scour the internet to know if something is
Yeah.
you know, ripped off.
So I listened to this teacher and media theorist Douglas Rushkoff, and he's talked about this, like that recently a student turned in an AI generated term paper, and he said that it took him maybe a minute reading. He started reading it and it was immediately like, yeah, this is an AI thing.
Yeah,
Like this isn't
no emotion.
There's no emotion, there's no humanity, there's no context. It's not explaining what it thinks about something. It's just generating surface facts. So I guess once these things can, like, you know, once these AI can master rock critic terms, it's using some adjectives.
I'm assuming as this, yeah, I mean, if I accept something, because, I mean, the way this works and the way the other platforms seem to work is you generate things and then you go like, oh, I'll try again, or you refine it. So probably as it gets refined, I would imagine it'll get somewhat better. It'll start to pick up some kind of emotion, and that's when things get freaky, I think.
But it'll never be able to write Heroin by Lou Reed, because it'll never be able to do heroin, or maybe eventually. I don't. What does that mean? I don't even know what I mean.
That's probably a good thing, I would guess.
That the
So I
AI
just wanted to
can't do
ask a few
heroin?
questions. Is that cool? And then we'll
Let's
just
do it.
call it.
Yeah, it's actually
So-
really interesting.
I wanted to just say, define the term friend wife for us and the listeners at home. I wanted to see what it thinks a friend wife is. See how close it would get, because that's not a very common thing, right? Friend wife is a term used to describe a person who is both a close friend and a spouse, typically within a group of friends. It can also refer to a person who is married to a friend, but with whom one has a close and friendly relationship with. The term is often used humorously or affectionately to describe the unique dynamic of these relationships. What do you think of that, Becky B? I think that was I think that was right on.
If she's in the chat,
Marco wants us to do a rap battle using nothing but AI. I don't know if we got time for that today, but we might have to do that on another one. Okay, so, and finally, I'm interested in knowing what your favorite Pavement album is.
oh, what's it gonna say?
As an AI language model, I do not have preferences or emotions, so I do not have a favorite Pavement album. However, the author of this document mentions that their favorite Pavement album is Terror Twilight. Well, that's right. So
it's still
this
neat.
AI's not a hater on me for liking Terror Twilight. It didn't give me throw any shade at me for it.
But it needs you to have a favorite album to even be able to really come up with something, which makes sense, you know.
So let's see.
What if it was like I actually prefer the solo work of Stephen Malkmus with the Jigs, like.
Yeah.
That's what I would be scared if it did that.
Yeah. So I'm done. And instead of me summarizing, I'm going to have AI summarize my notes here.
Okay.
In summary. So that's going to be it for me, Jason. In this episode of Click Vortex, I discussed Pavement's album Crooked Rain and its notable tracks, as well as the band's history and influence. I also briefly touched on the rise of alternative music in 1994 and experiment with the AI tools for note-taking. This episode ends with a discussion of the term friend-wife and a request for the AI to reveal its favorite Pavement album.
I mean,
and that'll do it.
It's right on the money. That is exactly what happened.
Anita prefers, Brain A wants to see, okay, hold on. Brain A wants to see AI on heroin. I mean, I don't disagree. That would be interesting to see.
It'd be curious to see what happens. Hey, Brain A, so good. Thank you for including your great tunes in Wastoid Season 1. That was awesome.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, because right now, if you ask AI if it's going to take over mankind, it's going to say no. But maybe if it's like hopped up on goofballs or something, it would say something different.
Do you think? What if we asked it? What do you think of wastoids?
Let's see.
Would you have to specify wastoids.com? I don't know. I don't understand because it'll just be like wastoids is a term.
Wastoids.com. I do not have the ability to form opinions or preferences about websites. However, I can tell you that wastoids.com is mentioned in the text of this website. Well, it seems to be It seems to be good at doing that.
Yeah.
Recognizing itself very well.
Yeah. I mean. What else? That's human nature, right there. So we're already in danger.
Yeah, so I can already see that AI is pretty boring. So I probably won't bring it up again.
However,
it's kind of impressive, I guess, sorta, right?
It's
if somebody figures out how to I don't know.
My favorite thing about any technology is when people are going to use it in some way that it's not even remotely supposed to be used.
Yeah, it'll become its own weird creative expression.
And it could be weird. I mean, yeah, maybe something cool will happen. I mean, I'm sure all technology sounds scary when you first hear about it. You know, I'm sure people were convinced that video was going to kill the radio star, but here we are, and they're still both of those things. So, yeah. I don't know. On the fence when it comes to AI, but if you guys notice my writing suddenly becomes concerned only with facts about records, then you'll know that I changed my mind. I don't know.
We'll know that you're phoning it in.
Phoning it in. Well, speaking of phoning it in, you can call us anytime at 1-877-WASTOIDS. And we're going to be doing, we've got a live Click Vortex coming up. We're going to mention that every time we do a show. Click Vortex, the 26th.
If you live anywhere in Arizona or the regional.
At Crescent Ballroom, home to Crescent Ballroom is a popular Phoenix music establishment that is known for its burritos, and for Click Vortex Live on March 26th. Our friends Andy and Candy of Astrology are going to be making music at the thing, and we're going to have Decoy Deloy doing the news and special guests, which I'm really excited about, and it's going to be...
Have our special... I mean, I know we're not going to say it yet, but have they been locked in yet?
Our special guests, one half of our special guests are locked in, and the other half are most likely locked in, so I'm pretty pumped about it. We'll reveal more about that as we near that event. So check out
If the AI
Wastoids.
allows us to.
If the AI allows us to reference who will be our special guest, then we will. I'm psyched that we did another live one. I think doing them live is a lot more fun. I really like the audience interaction, and once we get our sound figured out, it's over for you, mother effers.
I think we had up to at one point 12 people watching this thing.
I mean,
So,
that's the number of apostles Jesus had, disciples. So I mean, what? It's not good enough for us. That's enough.
Marco says, "Great text, gang. Love and miss. Love you too, Marco. Happy birthday."
Happy birthday, Marco. Thank you for listening and watching, and yeah, cool. All right, dudes. Well then, friends, friend wives, Click Vortex fans worldwide, we're calling it.
Yeah. we probably could get a little bit better at this if we tried. Okay, so I'm gonna do the outro here. All right. Wastoid's quiet.